Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You are here with Austin from Ohio, and today is Monday, July 11th, 2022. Well, I'm sure you all have realized that, we didn't think it was possible, but in the same breath we did. Everything is literally just. I feel like I'm a broken record, and I say this every single time, but everything is increasing in frequency and intensity during this time. It's like they put a cinder block on the gas and they just jumped out of the car and they're letting it just go because this is just insane. I'm going to jump right in because I have a couple things for you guys today. This article caught my eye for a couple reasons. The first reason is obvious. They're out there marching to try to leave the American people defenseless before an all-powerful world government. That's just the truth. There's no way to sugarcoat it. It's not for the children. It's not for this or that. That's all it's for. Right? The second reason. Look at the title of this. Enough is enough. Does that not remind you of the Illuminati card game? The enough is enough card? And it's funny because a lot of people said that the person on the card kind of looked like Trump. Other people said it looked like Alex Jones, but maybe it's got something to do with the Trump thing, because we all know at this point in time, if you don't know, you're literally insane and on cloud nine. Trump was put there in order to set up half the country to take the fall and to embody the ideas of, what this country was founded on, but not actually believe in them, only on a tabloid level, if you understand what I'm saying. As in, like, everything that has to do with, like, America or the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, and all of that, it's embodied on the right side of the Hegelian dialectic, political theater, whatever we have going on. But this enough is enough title here really caught my eye for that reason. But, okay, enough is enough. Say thousands demanding new gun measures. Well, of course, because everything that they put in, and they just passed a law for this. But it's never going to be enough until they pick up every single gun in the hands of the American people. Let me just turn this down a little bit. Well, that's weird. I never turned my location on. For some reason it was on. That's odd. But this isn't going to stop until they picked up every single defense mechanism in the entire United States. Organizers expected the second March for Our Lives rally to draw around 50,000 demonstrators to the Washington Monument. And you can see some people here. Useful idiots are what these people are referred to by the ruling class. Thousands of people rallied on the National Mall across the United States on Saturday. Renewed push for gun control measures after recent deadly mass shootings from Uvalde, Texas to Buffalo, New York, that activists say should compel Congress to act. Enough is enough, District of Columbia Mayor Muriel Bowser told Second March for Our Lives rally in her city. I speak as a mayor, a mom, and I speak for millions of Americans and America's mayors who are demanding that Congress do its job. And its job is to protect us, to protect our children from gun violence. Wrong, Muriel Bowser. Wrong you are. Congress's job is to ensure that the Constitution in its entirety is protected. That freedom in this country is protected. That the executive branch does not get out of line, which is why we have a Senate, which is why we have a Congress. Supposed to be anyway. It's not to protect us. That's your job, to protect yourself. Are you not responsible enough to protect yourself? You know what happens when government comes in to say they want to protect people? Yeah, they'll protect you, all right. Why don't you go ask the survivors of Germany during World War II how Hitler protected them? Why don't you go ask the Communist Chinese how the Chinese Communist Party is protecting them? Especially during Mao's Cultural Revolution. Why don't you go ask, those who were victims of Pol Pot, how he protected them by taking them to the killing fields? Hitler used children too to push agendas. Never forget that. Speaker after speaker in Washington called on senators who are seen as a major impediment to legislation to act or face being voted out of office, especially given the shock to the nation's conscience after 19 children and two teachers were killed May 24th at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde. The funny part is, it's not really funny, it's ironic actually. If this country was in its purest form, the purest form of freedom, the responsible teachers and or other faculty of the school and or school resource officer, security officer, whatever, would have been able to protect those children. But guess what? They're not allowed to defend themselves. This is how these types of environments are created for these things to happen. And when they do happen, that's all the ammunition, pun intended, that the state, i.e., world government, needs in order to disarm the American people. If our government can't do anything to stop 19 kids from being killed and slaughtered in their own school and decapitated, it's time to change who is in our government, said David Hogg, a survivor of the 2018 shooting that killed 17 students and staff at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. Oh, you mean David Hogg, who's pretty sure it's father. Father works at CNN. This guy's bought and paid for provocateur, agent provocateur. This all came out during this time, in 2018, so that's the reason he's still allowed to be in front of this movement and to have the ability to get out in front of this movement. It's either his dad or his uncle works at CNN, one of the two. I'm drawing a blank on it. A co-founder of the March for Our Lives organization that was created after that shooting, it held its first rally in Washington not long afterward. Hogg led the crowd in chants of "Vote them out." Another Parkland survivor and group co-founder, X Gonzalez, delivered an impassioned, profanity-laced plea to Congress for change. "We are being murdered," she screamed, and implored Congress to act your age, not your shoe size. What these people don't get is if they follow history, when governments disarm their people, genocide, democide always follows. Always. And some people might come on here and they might say, well, Austin, look at England, look at Australia, look at wherever else. To that, I will direct them to the General Disarmament in a Peaceful World document and or the United Nations Small Arms Treaty and all the writings and documents they have on that, where they talk about they can't take... I'm going to bring that up in my next video. Somebody remind me. They can't take guns from the United States if they take the guns from those individual countries first. They can't just say like, oh, England banned guns and then institute their plan. Or Australia banned guns, institute what they want to institute. Because we would see that and be reluctant to disarm. It's all there. For anybody that just wants to go and, open their eyes a little bit and start reading. Instead of outsourcing their intellect to a box in your living room. But what do I know, right? Okay, so this continues. Added Yolanda King, granddaughter of Martin Luther King Jr. This time is different because it's not about politics. It's about morality. Not right and left, but right and wrong. And that doesn't just mean thoughts and prayers. That means courage and action. You see how they play this? They're going to keep doing this whole song and dance. Problem, reaction, solution. Problem, reaction, solution. Problem, reaction, solution. Until we, do what they want us to do. But basically, that's what the rest of this says. I don't want to have to go through and read all this propaganda, but I will link it because I want to get to some more pressing things. But I brought this to you. These protests and movements are going on. A lot of people are getting out there, not playing with a full deck of cards, not understanding Agenda 21, Agenda 2030, Great Reset, Fourth Industrial Revolution, i.e., everything else we've ever talked about that is happening in real time. But it's funny because if you ask these people, like, oh, you're against guns? Yeah, I'm against guns. Oh, well, how do you plan on getting guns out of the hands of American citizens? Oh, we're going to get the government to go and kick down their door and take them. So you're not against guns. Because guns are needed to do that. You're against free people having guns. You are for centralized gun ownership in the hands of the state. Anybody ever argues with you ever again, you tell them that, they will shut up real quick. Or they'll just go on and say, the government would never do that. The government loves me. They took me in at night. They give me money. Whatever. Moving on. Okay, speaking of these types of events, a lot of people might not care. Oh, please don't. Please don't be a bunch of pop-ups. I'm going to have to leave this. A lot of people might not care because it's in a different country, but I'm going to explain to you why you should care. South Africa police say 15 killed in a bar shooting in Soweto. I'm not going to spend much time on this. I'm just going to read a paragraph or so. I'll link this as well. A mass shooting in a tavern in Johannesburg, Soweto Township, killed 15 people and left others critical condition, according to police. And a group of men arrived in a minibus taxi and opened fire on some of the patrons at the bar shortly after midnight Sunday. Okay, so the reason they do this and bring this up on our news and whatnot, these things happen every day. The reason they do this because here pretty soon, South Africa is going to institute a, nationwide and or countries-wide ban on certain types of weapons and or all weapons. What that's going to do is it's going to have the American people themselves, not us, but it's my mother sending me things. But, I lost my train of thought. Oh, this is going to cause the American people to cry out and say, look, they did it in South Africa, why can't we do it here? And it's going to give a boost to the government. It's going to bolster their agenda and their, need at this point in time. They need to do this, to take defense mechanisms away from us. With the support of the coddled mass herds of sheeple. That's basically all I wanted to bring up with this one because that's exactly what's going to happen, and you watch. You watch. I got more pressing things to get to, so let me get to that. Moving on. Okay, when I brought up this one earlier when I was reading it, this chilled me to the bone. Check this out. Researchers in China claim they have developed mind-reading artificial intelligence that can measure loyalty to the Chinese Communist Party, reports say. How terrifying is that? Think about what they could do with this on a worldwide scale. If they're telling the truth and they can actually do this, which we all know they probably can. What are they going to do? Use it to measure your loyalty to the New World Order system? That's exactly what they're going to do. It's why these types of things are funded to be built. If you don't know by now, there's no right, there's no left, there's no national governments working on their own. There's none of that. They all work together. They all are financed and controlled and operated by the same people. They all carry out the same agenda, but different facets of it. And there's proof in that every single day, if you just know where to look and you understand what's happening. Get out of here, pop-up. Researchers in China claim they have developed mind-reading AI, multiple outlets have reported. In a now-deleted video, they reportedly said the software could be used to measure party loyalty. Last year, the U.S. sanctioned 11 Chinese institutes for developing purported brain control weaponry. Yeah, the U.S. sanctioned, but guarantee we're doing the same thing. Guarantee it. Researchers at China's Comprehensive National Science Center in Hefei claim to have developed mind-reading artificial intelligence capable of measuring citizens' loyalty to the Chinese Communist Party. Sunday Times UK first reported. And we already read that. Deleted video. The institute said the software could measure party members' reactions to thought and political education. Get out of here. By analyzing facial expressions and brainwaves, according to the Times. Think about that. Think of what this can be used for. The results can then be used to further solidify their confidence and determination to be grateful to the party, listen to the party, and follow the party, the researchers said, per the report. The post was taken down following public outcry from Chinese citizens, according to VOA article published Saturday. It doesn't matter if there was an outcry, they'll take the video down. They're still doing this. And I will guarantee that we are too. Dr. Lance B. Elliott, an AI and machine learning expert, wrote in Forbes last week that without knowing the specifics of the research study, it's impossible to prove the validity of the Institute's claims. Well, of course they're going to downplay it. Quote, "This is certainly not the very first time that brainwave scan capability was used on human subjects in a research effort," he wrote. That being said, using them to gauge loyalty to the CCP is not something you would find much focus on. When such AI is used for governmental control, a red line has been crossed. That's the point of AI. That's why they created it. It's part of the fourth industrial revolution. I mean, come on. It's common knowledge at this point in time. Late last year, the U.S. Department of Commerce sanctioned several Chinese institutes for helping develop biotechnology, including purported brain control weaponry, as Insider previously reported. The Chinese government has come under fire for using AI and facial recognition systems to track and control Uyghurs. I don't understand what that is. Uyghurs. I don't know. An ethnic minority group. Between 1 million and 3 million, there's your 13, Uyghurs have been detained by the Chinese Communist Party in re-education camps, according to the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. Scientific pursuit of biotechnology and medical innovation can save lives, U.S. Secretary of Commerce Gina M. Raimondo said in a press release announcing the sanctions. Oh yeah, look at the U.S. taking a hard stand. We want to save lives. We will never use this technology for harmful purposes, I should add. But this is how they'll bring it to the U.S., though. They'll say, oh, we're going to save lives with this technology. But we all know how that worked out in the past with this recent thing that they said was going to save lives. But now we have sudden adult death syndrome, right? Better watch my P's and Q's. Unfortunately, the People's Republic of China is choosing to use these technologies to pursue control over its people and its repression of members of ethnic and religious minority groups. And that's the end of that. So, don't be surprised if this comes to the United States under the guise of saving lives. And at the top here, look at this. Everything is down. And it's not going back up. Moving on. Okay, this guy has been off of the radar for a while. But for some reason, he's back again. The old guru that can tell the future. The guy that predicted the situation. The pandemic. According to Time magazine, the world's most famous doctor, Bill Gates, warns of looming global economic crisis. Huh. And it says Bill Gates always shares his opinion. Well, of course he does. Of course he does. And of course, they're scapegoat for everything nowadays. According to the businessman, it will be caused by the war between Ukraine and Russia. All these people now have like an opinion on that. Like, you didn't know anything about the Ukraine before this. Now all of a sudden, everything's, Ukraine, Russia, Ukraine, Russia. Since when do they have that much of an impact on us and the entire world? You think Putin is just that powerful that he could just bring the whole world to its knees with the war on a regional country like the Ukraine? The founder of Microsoft, now a philanthropist and one of the world's richest men, always has an opinion on current affairs. Bill Gates, billionaire Bill Gates, has formed opinion on the crisis that the world will experience due to the invasion of Ukraine. Okay. In fact, Gates also linked the cause of the crisis to the situation still raging in many parts of the world today. Keep remembering, series of catastrophic events. In an interview with CNN, the creator of Windows made clear in his answers that the current economic situation, coupled with the health crisis due to the situation, is going to have numerous repercussions in all states because debt levels of governments were already very, very high, and there were already problems in the supply chain. And let me guess, we need a worldwide government to save the world, huh? That seems to be their answer to everything. They caused all these problems, by the way. For Gates, all the problems that exist today are going to cause the world to suffer an economic downturn in the immediate future. It's likely to accelerate the inflationary problems that the economies of the rich world have, likely to force an increase in the interest rates. That will eventually cause an economic downturn, Gates told reporters from the U.S. network during the interview. The philanthropist is concerned about the pessimist positions as their argument seems to be the right one. Quote, "I'm afraid the pessimists have a pretty strong argument that worries me a lot," Gates said. He then sent a piece of advice to society to prepare itself in the best possible way to be able to overcome the situation. Quote, "You can only be optimistic in the long term if you are pessimistic enough to survive in the short term." And that's the end of that. So again, we got Bill Gates out there warning that we have a worldwide economic crisis coming. Take a look at the background of this picture. What's that say? 11, 11, 13, or 77, 77, 73? Looks like an 11 from back here. I could be wrong, but there's always something going on with their numerology and all that. But take a look at this guy. Evil to the core. But everything's Ukraine, Russia, Russia, Ukraine. No, it's not. It's called The Great Reset. Klaus Schwab wrote a book on it. Everything happening right now is exactly going the way it's supposed to go according to plan. You don't believe me? Read the book. COVID-19, The Great Reset by Klaus Schwab and Thierry Malloret. Moving on. Okay, and of course I have to bring this up. I wanted to wait a couple days in order to bring this up because we didn't know what happened. We still don't. But we know why they did this now. I personally think that they did this because they don't need these anymore. Because Agenda 21 is already in effect, going toward Agenda 2030. They don't need these anymore. And at the same time, they wanted to turn around and demonize us. People like us, and get the people to think that we're all just insane and that these things were here after an apocalyptic event to guide humanity toward preserving the earth. When we know that's not true. Georgia prosecutor calls explosion at America's Stonehenge an act of domestic terrorism. I hate how they call it America's Stonehenge. Nobody knows how Stonehenge was put there, and they're giant rocks way bigger than this. What, we don't know who put these here and it's mysterious, so we call it America's Stonehenge? Come on, these were obviously important to these people, or else they wouldn't have put them up. And again, the guy, R.C. Christian, sounds an awful lot like Rosicrucian, don't it? But it's a pseudonym, apparently, and the guy doesn't really exist. But come on. And they're calling it an act of domestic terrorism. And this guy at work, actually, that I know, he's actually the cleaning guy. He's been there. He took his daughter down. He's got pictures and videos on his phone. This place is surrounded by cameras at all times, every angle. But for some reason, we don't have footage of someone planting explosives or anything like that. Just the video of it exploding and a car driving away all grainy. Come on. They did this. They did this for the reasons I just listed. And that is a fact. A Georgia prosecutor described the apparent targeting of a mysterious monument with explosive device as an act of domestic terrorism, saying Thursday that the alleged crime was aimed at the county authorities that own the site. Oh, so now the county authorities own the site. Oh. I'm sorry, I didn't know, because for a while they said nobody knows who owns it or this and that. The destruction of public building by explosive is inherently intended to influence the actions of the governing authority that owns the structure, Parks White, Northern Judicial Circuit District Attorney, said in an email about the Wednesday explosion at the Georgia Guidestones. Get off of my screen. The use of violence to sway or alter the behavior of any government agency is terrorism, said White, whose office would handle a potential prosecution. Actually, no, the definition of terrorism is the use of violence to obtain a political end. Which I guess that's what he's saying here, but in different words. But no, it's the use of violence to influence your political end upon somebody else. Auburn County Board of Commissioners is the site's governing authority, he said. No suspect has been identified in the case. In a statement Wednesday, White said the Georgia Bureau of Investigation has many leads in the probe of the explosion. Case is being made against the perpetrator. And of course, we know about the footage and all that stuff. The agency said one of 5 massive granite slabs, which are engraved with messages about the conservation of humanity, was destroyed in the explosion. The entire structure was demolished after authorities determined the weakened monument was unsafe for investigators. The agency said. The agency described the probe as active and ongoing. Okay, time out. How many times do investigators go into things that are unsafe? That's their job, right? They're experts, right? This reminds me of what happened after 9/11. In the middle of a supposed criminal investigation, they destroy all the evidence and take it away. Come on. Come on. The monument, I wouldn't even call it that, dubbed America's Stonehenge, was unveiled on 5 acres of farmland in 1980. It was planned by an anonymous group that lived outside of Georgia and described themselves as loyal Americans who believe in God, according to an account of the site's origins of the Elbert County Chamber of Commerce website. No. The group wanted to leave messages for future generations, the account says. According to a lengthy story about the site published by Wired in 2009, the Guidestones function as a clock, calendar, and compass, and those messages engraved in 8 languages were intended to function as post-apocalyptic guide for survivors. That's a lie. We already know what it's there for. This is their declaration of their intent, you could say. Set in stone were their plans. No longer, but they were. That guidance included keeping the planet's population under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature, creating a living new language to unite humanity, according to a Wired account. The site been previously targeted with spray painted messages including Jesus will beat you, Satanist, and no one world government. Funny how those are the only messages they put on here, even though there were more on the supposed so-called vandalism. They want to brand us as insane. That's one reason they did this, but the other reasons are up for debate. But I need to move on or my thing's going to crash. Okay, I wanted to bring this one up, and this is basically just, from what I gathered so far, it's like a brief overview and things that have happened, and quotes from different people, I guess, and just a little bit that I've read. But I want to bring this up to kind of give the people that are new here understanding on where we stand. And of course it says the following articles from Conspiracies and Secret Societies, summary of conspiracy theory, not a statement of fact. They put this up so they can keep their website. We all know this, of course. In 2002, U.S. Attorney General John Ashcroft declared the Homeland Security Force Freedom Corps. Well, Freedom Corps, a name strongly reminiscent of Nazi Germany's murderous Freikorps. Same thing. Okay, New World Order, one world government. There's an unholy alliance, an invisible government with only one goal on its agenda, to control all the nations of the earth. In 1906, President Theodore Roosevelt issued a warning that every conspiracy theorist since has heeded and keenly understood. Behind the ostensible government sits an enthroned, invisible government owing no allegiance and acknowledging no responsibility to the people. To destroy this invisible government, to befoul the unholy alliance between corrupt business and corrupt politics is the first task of the statesmanship of today. You could see why they tried to take President Roosevelt out, of course. In 2002, when Attorney General John Ashcroft christened another Homeland Security force, the Freedom Corps, I'm not even going to say this term because it was invented by the CIA to discredit whistleblowers. I'm going to say, oh man, I don't even know what to say in its place. Truthers, I'll say. I guess that's what we can call ourselves. We're reminded that the Freikorps, Germany's army irregulars, who cleared the way for Hitler by murdering social democrats and communists, such allusions that administration had very sinister echo to many historians who believe that the Third Reich, that rose to power in Germany in the 1930s, was an attempt at a new world order, and that the Anglo-American business elite was deeply involved with this ominous creation. Yes, of course. There was pictures of Hitler meeting with the Pope and meeting with world leaders. Some economists have defined the Nazi state as a dictatorship of monopoly capitalism and consider Nazi Germany a capitalist paradise, which is insane because Nazi is gutter slang for National Socialism. But that's what they do. They use semantics and mix terms up to confuse everybody and to have people believing that up is down, right is left, black is white. It had a 60-hour work week, low wages, and no unions. German and international cartels began preparing for war, even before they financed Hitler. As countries succumbed to the Nazi juggernaut, German big business, which was able to absorb even the plunder former competitors for cost next to nothing. Such U.S. corporations as Standard Oil, General Motors, IBM, Ford, the Chase and National City Banks, ITT, and many others had invested the equivalent of $8 billion in the Third Reich. When the United States became involved in World War II, the unsuspecting American foot soldiers had no idea that ITT built the airplanes, dropped bombs on them, that Ford and General Motors built the Nazis' trucks and tanks. Ball bearings, crucial to the Nazi war effort, were manufactured in Philadelphia, yet were in scant supply in the States. So, this is how they work. They finance both sides of every war, dating back to Napoleon is where we can trace it back to, in the Napoleonic Wars. Then turn around and tell all of us that this was just some crazy guy that came to power and did these horrible things. Okay. I wonder if I can get rid of this. I don't even want to try it. The secret or shadow government that manipulates political and economic events everywhere has only one goal in mind. And that is to eventually seize control of all world governments. While the elite secret cartel backed the Nazis, it also supported the Allies. It really didn't matter to the New World Order who won World War II. The real wealth lies in war and genocide. In addition, a terrible full-scale war degrades, demoralizes, and damns humanity so it will more easily accept serfdom and control by the elite who govern the New World Order. Making sense so far? Most of us have already known this. We have. For decades, conspiracy investigators have tried to warn the mass population that a secret government agency has many underground bases where it carries out extensive high-tech aerospace and nuclear research, in addition to bacteriological and chemical experiments. These investigators have also learned that the secret societies of the Black Sun, Thule, and Vril were correct in their assumption that ancient master race was extraterrestrial in origin. I would say extra-dimensional, but we'll go with that. These secret societies were also correct when they suspected that aliens have bioengineered and genetically manipulated the human genome from the beginning of humankind's origins on Earth. I would say fallen angels, but again, it's the same thing, basically, when we're talking about it. It's the same thing. Many of today's UFO researchers have learned that aliens have mixed their DNA with ours, especially in the reptilian genetic line, and live among us. Again, this is talked about in the Bible. It's the Nephilim. It's the fallen angels. Just getting that out of the way. Norio Hayakawa, author of UFOs, The Grand Deception and the Coming New World Order, warns of a global UFO conspiracy linked to sinister occult force that is manufacturing the Grand Deception. Hayakawa believes that this worldwide plot is designed to stage a counterfeit extraterrestrial contact or a landing to stimulate an alien threat of invasion in order to urgently and ultimately bring about a delusive New World Order. He warns that this dramatic invasion and the ensuing catastrophic conflagration in the Middle East will immediately be followed by unprecedented worldwide earthquakes, a global financial crisis, sudden mysterious evacuation or removal depending on one's viewpoint of a segment of the population worldwide, all of which will culminate in an urgent official declaration of totalitarian New World Order that will last for 7 years upon its inception. Again, connect this to the Bible, and it's exactly what it is. Such a shocking series of global events will place millions of people in absolute stupor for weeks, Hayakawa states, during which time an ingeniously executed, extremely effective, multi-leveled mind control program will be activated to calm and to stun populace. The technology they have now, we can believe that. At this point in the scenario envisioned by Hayakawa, while the leadership of the New World Order struggles to assume complete control over the global populaces, a dynamic, charismatic leader will arise out of the European community, by then known as the United States of Europe, appear in worldwide television broadcasts and offer a brilliant explanation to sedate the public. Hayakawa believes that this leader is currently around 29 years old and is residing somewhere in Western Europe just waiting to begin his official mission. Again, I'm not sure when that was written, but it's most definitely, it sounds exactly like what it is. Futurist, political theorist, and social analyst Michael Lindemann reached a point in his research where he became convinced that an alien presence on Earth was being selectively revealed to the public, with the blessings and sometimes direct involvement of government authorities. In Lindemann's view, the architects of the New World Order, whom he refers to as the Olympians, have an understanding that the world as we know it is careening toward an environmental and economic catastrophe. Where are we now? The Olympians plan to chart a course through time of tremendous upheaval during which millions, even billions of people might die, and to emerge from that time, still in power with greatly enhanced prospects for an ideal society of their own design. Their ability to succeed in this strategy will depend on controlling the perceptions and behavior of the citizens of the most developed nations. In 1992, when President George H.W. Bush began speaking about the hope that a new world order had been created after the conclusion of the Gulf War, evangelist Pat Robertson warned that the New World Order was actually code for a secret group of conspirators who sought to replace Christian society with worldwide atheistic socialist dictatorship. President Bush charged Robertson, a number of conspiracy theorists, was a member of one of the world's most devilish and powerful secret societies, the Order of Skull and Bones. What was more, according to these same accusers, Bush was linked to the Bilderbergers and Trilateral Commission, dangerous elitist organizations. About the same time that President Bush alleged secret society affiliations were being exposed, a number of fundamentalist Christian evangelists began to take their real notice of the UFO phenomenon and saw the mysterious aerial objects in the signs in the skies, referred to in apocalyptic literature and the book of Revelation as heralding the advent of the Antichrist. It was a short leap of faith for many evangelists to begin to combine accounts of UFOs with secret societies and the beast of Revelation, who would bring the New World Order into being. Okay, anyone that's on a UFO kick, let me save you some trouble. That's military technology. United States naval technology. It's not from outer space. It's not from any beings that aren't here. That is United States military technology. The proponents of this cosmic conspiracy believe that when President Ronald Reagan gave his famous alien invasion speech to the entire United Nations General Assembly in September of 1987, he already secretly advised representatives of the 176 member nations that the leaders of their respective governments must meet the demands of the technologically superior extraterrestrials or be destroyed. In his speech to the General Assembly, Reagan said that occasionally he thought how quickly all nationalistic differences would vanish if humanity were facing an alien threat from outside this world. And he suggested that an alien threat was already among us. A number of conspiracy theorists stated that Reagan's speech hinted at a plan agreed to by world leaders and extraterrestrial invaders around the year 2000 to carefully stage alien invasion would convince the masses of the world that a real-life alien attack from outer space was about to begin. People of all nations would believe their leaders, who would tell them that the aliens were benevolent species. Unconditional surrender to them would be for everyone's own good. Now, obviously, they had to back their plans up a little bit. For whatever reason. But they're just now coming out again and starting to talk about the existence of these things, or supposed existence. Governments are admitting to the public that there's something, right? Let's just go down here and read this. I will link this for you guys. This is characteristics of the New World Order. There will be only one unit monetary system. Permanent, non-elected, hereditary oligarchists will select serfs from the population and form a feudal system similar to the one that existed in the Middle Ages. Population will be limited by restrictions on the number of children per family. Diseases, wars, and famines will be engineered until there are only 1 billion people, those who are deemed useful to the ruling classes living on the plane. We know it's less than that now. They want less than 1 billion. There will be no middle class, only rulers and servants. A legal system of world courts will oversee a single unified code of laws enforced by a one world government police force and a one world unified military. None of the former national boundaries of countries shall exist. Why do you think they're mixing all these different countries together, and they're literally funding people to bring them across national borders? Nothing against those people. You can't hate them for wanting a better life, of course. But they're being used. The social system will be on a basis of welfare state. Those who are obedient and subservient to the one world government will be rewarded with the means to live. Those who are rebellious and will be starved to death are declared outlaws, thereby becoming targets for anyone who wishes to kill them. Privately owned firearms or weapons of any kind will be prohibited over my dead body. Only one religion will be allowed, and that will be in the form of one world government church, which will adhere to, it's not Satanism, just Luciferianism. There will be no private or church schools. Christianity will not be permitted in any form. So, it's not a bad article. It's really not. I have more stuff for my next video, some more articles, things going on, power outage stuff, but this will have to do for now. We're in it, guys. We're literally up shit's creek without a paddle. And it's unfortunate that it has to be this way. But I'm going to keep exposing this agenda until I can't anymore. Whether they delete my channels or whatever they have to do. I don't even know what to say about the people out there that are arguing over matters of no real importance. Oh, the right and the left. Oh, this and that. Oh, I have no idea what they're arguing over. It's so bad now that I saw people defending the Guidestones. I mean, come on. Something that says that 500 million people should be alive and the rest dead, basically. They're defending it like they are going to be one of the 500 million. And then people are like, oh, that was for after an apocalyptic event. Okay, well, if that's the case, okay, let me entertain that thought for a minute. Why wouldn't you expect those to be destroyed in the apocalyptic event and not be around after for people to read? You can't be that naive. You can't be that naive. Let's pray while we still can. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and glory, forever and ever. Amen.